Imagine if you could master any skill in half the time it takes most people, not because you're smarter, but because you've learned how to learn itself. This isn't magic. It's a science anyone can unlock. Most people approach learning as a linear process: study, memorize, repeat. But cognitive science reveals this is like trying to build a modern computer with 1980 programming. The brain doesn't store information like a hard drive. It weaves it into neural networks, creating connections and patterns that make knowledge stickier and more useful. The most valuable skill you can develop today isn't coding or data analysis. It's the ability to acquire those skills efficiently. In a world where knowledge doubles every 18 months, your learning ability becomes your competitive advantage. Recent research from the National Institutes of Health shows that optimal learning happens when your brain operates in what neuroscientists call the Goldilocks zone. Not too easy, not too hard, but just challenging enough to trigger neuroplasticity without causing frustration. The learning equation looks like this. Learning efficiency equals focused attention times emotional connection divided by cognitive load. This means three things. Quality beats quantity. 45 minutes of focused deep work beats 4 hours of distracted studying. Emotion matters. Learning triggers stronger attention when connected to meaningful goals. Spaced repetition beats cramming. Your brain consolidates memories during sleep, not during study sessions. Here's a thought experiment that reveals something profound about learning efficiency. If you spend 1,000 hours mastering a skill, but could achieve the same level of competence in 5,000 hours by optimizing your learning process, how many additional skills could you master with the remaining 5,000 hours? And if each of those skills helps you solve different real-world problems, what's the compound impact on your ability to make a difference? The answer isn't just about personal productivity, it's about exponential impact. When you learn how to learn, you're not just gaining one skill, you're gaining the ability to acquire many more skills that can address the complex challenges our world faces. To develop this superpower, start with these 3 principles. Learn like a scientist. Treat every learning attempt as an experiment. What worked? What didn't? How can you improve your approach next time? Connect to purpose. Ask not just what should I learn, but what should I learn that helps me make the world better? This intrinsic motivation creates emotional connections that strengthen memory. Practice meta-learning. After each learning session, spend 5 minutes reflecting on what learning strategies worked best for you. This helps you refine your approach over time. The world needs people who can quickly learn, adapt, and apply knowledge to solve problems. By mastering how to learn, you're not just investing in yourself. You're investing in your ability to contribute meaningfully to solving the challenges that matter most. The question isn't whether you can learn to learn better. It's how soon you'll start. Imagine waking up tomorrow with the ability to solve problems that currently seem impossible. Not through magic or shortcuts, but through a fundamental shift in how your brain learns and adapts. This isn't science fiction. It's the emerging reality of cognitive enhancement, and it's closer than you think. We're entering an era where learning itself is becoming learnable. For centuries, education has been about what to learn. Facts, formulas, procedures. But the most valuable skill of the 21st century might be how to learn itself. This isn't just about studying smarter, it's about rewiring your cognitive architecture for rapid skill acquisition. Neuroscience has revealed something remarkable: our brains are far more plastic than we ever imagined. Recent studies show that with the right techniques, adults can learn complex skills 4.0, 6.0 faster than traditional methods would suggest. The key lies in understanding how our brains form and strengthen neural pathways. Here's a puzzle that's both mathematically elegant and practically useful. If you can reduce your learning curve by sugar through optimized techniques, but it takes you more time to apply those techniques initially, at what point does the investment pay off? Most people guess it takes weeks or months, but the answer might surprise you. It's often within just 3-5 sessions of practice. This isn't just theoretical. Companies like Google and Microsoft have found that teams using cognitive optimization techniques reach proficiency 47 faster than those using traditional training. The math shows that even small improvements in learning efficiency compound exponentially over time. The framework for future-proof learning begins with cognitive warm-up. Your brain needs to be in the right state for optimal learning. This isn't about studying harder. It's about preparing your neural networks for new information. Try this engagement in 10 minutes of light physical activity followed by 4 minutes of focused breathing. Studies show this pre-learned.
Imagine standing at the intersection of what the world desperately needs and what you uniquely can provide. That's where the most meaningful learning begins, not with what's popular, but with what's purposeful. In a world overflowing with information and starving for wisdom, the ability to learn something genuinely useful, deeply niche, and potentially world-changing is perhaps the most valuable skill you can cultivate. This isn't about mastering trendy topics or collecting credentials. It's about finding that sweet spot where your unique talents meet the world's unmet needs. The journey starts with honest self-assessment. What problems keep you awake at night? What injustices make you angry? What inefficiencies do you notice that others miss? These emotional responses are your internal compass, pointing toward meaningful learning opportunities. The most impactful learning often begins not with curiosity alone, but with compassion. If every human on Earth suddenly had access to clean drinking water, what would you do with the time and resources previously spent on water collection? This question challenges us to think about how we measure progress, by solving problems or by creating new possibilities. When we solve fundamental problems like water access, we don't just eliminate suffering. We unlock human potential on a scale we can barely imagine. The learning process itself requires strategic thinking. Don't just dive into the first topic that interests you. Map the landscape of what's needed versus what's achievable. Look for intersections where your existing skills can be leveraged into something new. A programmer might learn agricultural data systems. A writer might master technical communication for renewable energy projects. An artist might develop visual tools for medical education. The most valuable learning often happens at the margins, not in the center of popular attention, but in the spaces where disciplines overlap and where needs are underserved. These are the fertile ground for innovation that doesn't just disrupt markets, but changes lives. Remember that learning to learn something useful is itself a skill that compounds over time. Each successful project teaches you not just the subject matter, but how to identify meaningful opportunities, how to acquire knowledge efficiently, and how to apply it effectively. This meta skill becomes your most valuable asset in a world where specific knowledge becomes obsolete. But the ability to learn what's needed never does. The future belongs not to those who know the most, but to those who can learn what matters most. Start where your passion meets the world's needs, and discover how learning can be both deeply personal and profoundly transformative.